Hi everyone, Nicholas Buffett is here from sunny Cyprus, and as you can see over here, this video is all about me solving the ICT May-June 2022 paper 2-1. This is for the Cambridge ICT IGCSE examination 0417, and it is paper 2. So this is going to be a long tutorial. Make sure to use the timestamps if you want to jump to a particular section to help you out. And if you are taking this examination, good luck. Let's get started. Okay, let's start off by looking at the question paper. And if we have a quick look here, the first part is to make sure we've got all the files required for this examination. Now, I've got all my files here in this folder. You can see everything is listed inside one folder. Make sure you've got everything inside the folder. Make sure anything you create for this examination goes inside that folder. So everything is in one place. The next thing that we want to have a look at is this part here, task 1, evidence document. So we want to open this evidence document here and make sure that your name, center number, candidate number will appear on every page of this document. So I'm just going to put that on the header somewhere. It doesn't tell you where to put it. Save this document in your work area as J221 evidence, followed by your candidate number, and that's an example of the naming convention. You will need this evidence document during the examination. So let's go do that first. I've got my evidence document already open here. So I'm just going to double click in the header. I'm going to type my details. CY127 is our center number, and I'm going to use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for a candidate number. Double click in the main body, and there we go. I need to save this. File, save as. I'm going to save this to make sure it's a Word document. And at the end there, I'm going to add my candidate number. Save. Okay, let's continue. Next part, task 2 is the document. So it says here, you're going to edit a document for Tawara Adriatic Charters. The company uses a corporate house style for all their documents. Paragraph styles must be created, modified, and applied as instructed. Number 1, open the file, that one. It then says the page is set up to A4 portrait orientation with 2 cm margins. Do not make any changes to these settings. 3, paragraph styles have already been created. Do not make any changes to these unless instructed. Save the document in your work area in the format of the software you're using with the file name YC Guide. Take a screenshot to show that this file has been saved, including evidence of the file type. Now, place this in your evidence document. Okay, so I'm going to open up my document. Here we go. That's the document that I've been given. The first thing I'm going to do is just to check the settings. It says it's already applied for me. So I'm going to go to Layout, Page Setup, and have a look here. And I can see 2 centimeters have been applied. It's portrait, so everything is good. Next step is basically to save this in my work area. So File, Save As, change this to a docx, and I'm going to call this YC Guide. Notice I'm using all capital letters because that's how it instructed me to do so. So you need to use names and add titles exactly as they've been displayed in the question paper. Now, next step, I'm going to click on Save. I'm not going to take a screenshot from here because that Save button basically means I haven't saved it yet, and I would lose a mark. So I'm going to click on Save. I'm then going to go open my folder with all my files. Here's my document with the YC Guide docx. I'm going to take a screenshot of that. Now, I've got dark mode enabled. Please don't use this because dark mode doesn't print very well and it's hard for the examiners to read. I'm now going to go to the evidence document and paste that there, and that basically displays the correct file name and the extension type. Okay, next step is number 2. So place the Tawara Adriatic Charters center aligned in the header. So I need to place this text. Place in the footer automated page numbers left aligned. Your name, center number, and candidate number right aligned. Now, it tells you a couple of things to make sure, and that is that the header is center aligned between the page margins. The footer is aligned with the page margins as well. Okay, and no other text or placeholders are included in the header or footer. I'm going to explain this part here. Headers and footers are displayed on all pages, where they are automatically. So let's go add, double click in the margin to open the header. I'm going to type Tawara Adriatic Charters. and it says I need to center align that. So I'm going to go to home and center align that. Now, then in the footer, it wants, so if I go down to the footer area, now I'm going to show you two ways that you can do this. Now, the first way is this. I can just go and insert, so automatic page number on the left. So if I open this header and footer ribbon, which is enabled when I'm in the header and footer section, I'm going to go to page number. I'm going to go to bottom of page and put my page number there, bottom of page, and put my page number there. Now, if I click here on the other side of the number 1, I can go insert an alignment tab to the right, click OK, and I can add my details. CY 127 12345. I'm just going to copy that, because I don't want to type that again afterwards. Okay, so that's one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is this, and this is absolutely fine, this method. Okay, so I'm just going to undo all of that. So the other way is to use the placeholders. So if from here I go from header and footer, I'm going to go to footer. I'm going to click on this one here. It's got blank 3 columns. So I can click here, add my page number in the current position there, and then I can enter my details here. Now that's perfect, but I've got this thing here, the placeholder. Now if I come out of the header and footer section, that will actually print. And that's what it means, no other placeholders. So I need to double click in here, select this, and delete that. Otherwise, I would lose a mark because there are extra placeholders. Okay, let's double click in the document. So we come out of header and footer and move on to the next part of the question. So it says create the following paragraph style, basing it on the default paragraph style. Now, this is extremely important. I'm going to spend a little bit more time on this so you actually understand what this means. So we want YC title as the title. We need to type it exactly the same as that. The sorcery font, which is Times New Roman, we're going to use 34-point size, right aligned, bold italic for enhancement, single line spacing, and I want a 9-point space after. So after each paragraph, 0 before. So it then says take a screenshot evidence to show the settings YC title paragraph style. Place this in your evidence document. So let's go create this style. So I'm going to click in the more settings area here where my styles are in the home ribbon. And I'm going to add a new style. Now, notice this in here. It says style is based on YC body. The reason why it's got that is this. Let's just move this out of the way. Because my insertion, if I put my insertion point here, for example, at the beginning or anywhere in this text, the YC body you can see up here has been applied to all the text. So when you go to create a new style, it will see the style being used where your insertion point is, and it will base the next style on that. Essentially, the purpose is if you created one style and you want to create another similar style, but you want a slight difference, instead of doing all the formatting and do all the changes for that font, you just continue from that style, the one that you selected. But we don't want that. We don't want it based on anything, because if we do, then it's going to bring in the styles from YC body into my new style as well. And that's what it's saying. So you need to make sure it's based on normal. Now, the other thing before I continue this, my insertion point is here. It's inside this first paragraph. And this is going to be normal when you start an exam paper. And this is important, and you're going to see why now. So as soon as I go to create my next style, this is going to be YC minus title. Type it exactly as it's displayed. I want a sorcery font, which is going to be Arial. Okay. I don't know if I said Times New Roman before. That was wrong. A sorcery font is going to be Arial in no ticks. This is going to be size 34. Right aligned. That one there. Bold and italic. And for the paragraph, I'm going to go to Format, Paragraph. That's single line spacing, that's fine. Before is 0, after I want it to be 9. Click OK. Now, from here, I can also take my screenshot. I'm not going to do that yet. I'm just going to click on OK. And look at that. Right now, because my insertion point was in that first paragraph, you can see it's applied the new style that I've just created to that first paragraph. Now, students, they just go with this. Although it looks wrong, they just leave it. So please don't. You haven't been asked to modify any text yet or apply any styles. You've just been asked to create a style. So I need to click and put that back to YC body. Okay, so wherever your insertion point is, when you create the style, the paragraph where your insertion point is going to change. So you need to change it back. Okay, next step, I want to put a screenshot. So I'm going to go over here where my styles are. Here's my YC title. Let's just expand that a bit more. YC title, I'm going to click on modify, and I'm going to take a screenshot of this. And that goes into my evidence document for number 2. Now, it's not letting me because I've got to close this dialog box first. So I'm just going to close that. Now I can go to my other document and paste that there. Good. I'm going to move that down to the next page. I want you to keep the titles with your screenshots together. Okay, so next part of the question paper is apply the YC title paragraph style to the text yacht charter guide. So if we go back up here, so I'm going to change this here. I'm going to select that and I'm going to put my YC title. It's either here or up here. It doesn't matter where you go from. And there we go. That's the only text that you're supposed to use that particular style for. So let's go back to number 5. Select the subheading types of charter and the following text up to and including the paragraph ending are free if you eat with them. So ends in this and begins from this subheading here. Change the page layout so that only this text is displayed in 2 columns equal width with a 1 centimeter space between them. Okay, so first things first, we need to go and find that subheading. So we want from types of charter. Here it is here. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to place my insertion point at the beginning, or you can just choose a little bit of that there. Scroll down to go find the paragraph that ends in that. That's usually at the beginning, at the end, sorry. There it is there. Are free if you eat with them. I'm going to hold the shift button and click at the end. And that selects the 2 points for where I was. Now you can just click and drag. This entirely up to you. So I'm going to change that now to, let's just make that 2 pages. I'm going to make that into 2 columns. So I'm going to go to the layout ribbon, columns, more columns. I'm going to choose 2, and I'm going to set this to 1 centimeter. If it wanted a line in between the paragraphs, that opened to the columns, there it is there, but it doesn't want a line. Click OK. And now I'm just going to check, and you can see from here straight away that my paragraphs, my 2 columns begin on this page and they're aligned. Let me just show you what I mean by that. So if I just use my drawing tool, see if I get a line. So you can see these 2 paragraphs there, they're aligned with each other at the top, these 2 columns. Okay, if I undo that, and if we go to the bottom, we can also see that the end of these 2 are also aligned here, these 2 columns. So that looks good. Okay, let's go back to the question paper. Okay, import the image J2221 boat.jpg and place this in the paragraph beginning an alternative to a bare boat. So we need to find that paragraph there. Rotate the image 180 degrees. Format the image so that it is resized with a width of 4 centimeters with the aspect ratio maintained. It is aligned to the right of the column and top of the paragraph starting an alternative to bare boat. The text wraps around the image. Okay, so first things first, I need to go and find this paragraph that begins an alternative to bare boat. So I'm going to go here. Now, instead of looking for this, although I have found it, it is here where my mouse is, I can press Control F and I'm just going to type Control F, an alternate, oh, if I spelled it correctly, alternate, there it is. Can you see it's highlighted it for me already? So I know where this paragraph is. So I'm just going to click here and I can close my search. So here is my paragraph. I'm going to put my insertion point at the beginning. Now, 2 ways you can add a picture. One is the classic insert pictures, and you can go to this device and you go find your picture and double click on it. I like using this method. I like going to my folder where I've got all my files. I'm going to find what I want from here. So I'm going to right click on that. I'm just going to click on copy. And then when I go to my document, I'm just going to click in here. There's my insertion point. I'm just going to press Control V on my keyboard. and there's my picture. So next thing I want to do is rotate this 180 degrees. I'm going to click once on my picture, and that's going to enable the picture format toolbar at the top. Double click on it and it will open it as well. From here we've got the rotate button, so I'm going to click on that. I can only rotate up to 90 degrees, but I can do that 2 times. So rotate right 90, and again rotate right 90, that's 180 degrees. Next I want to change the width of this image so that it's 4 centimeters. I can see from here the actual width is 5.5 centimeters. If I was to change the width of this by clicking on this sizing tab and squashing it like this, then I've just squashed the shape. That basically means I did not maintain the aspect ratio. So that's what that means. And the same goes for if you squash it from the top. Again, the aspect ratio is not maintained. So the correct way of doing this is, with the picture selected, go up here and change it from 5.5 to 4. I'm going to press space and type my units as well, cm. Some computers may have a different numeric system, so you might be using inches instead of centimeters. Not the numeric system, but the metric you're using. And if I do that and now press enter, you're going to see the height of this picture. That's also going to change automatically. And I've made this 4 centimeters wide, but I've maintained the aspect ratio because the height has also changed. Next, I want the text to wrap around this picture, so I need the text wrapping. Again, from this same toolbar here. So if you've lost that toolbar, if I click away, double click on the picture, it will open your picture format toolbar. I'm going to go to wrap text. I'm going to make this tight. Now, the question says it has to be to the right of the column and to the top of the paragraph. So I need to bring this in. You can see these green guidelines. There you go, I'm at the top of the paragraph. And now I'm also to the right of that paragraph. And that's perfect. If I did this, I would lose a mark. If my picture was here, again, I would lose a mark. If it's slightly higher, I would lose a mark. Slightly lower, lose a mark. Okay, so just use these like guidelines. They're pretty good. And just let go. And that way you make sure you get your marks. Okay, next question, number 7. Sort the list from fuel for navigation all the way to water sports equipment into alphabetical order. So in here, I should have a list somewhere. So let's scroll down. There it is here. Fuel for navigation all the way down to water sports equipment. So I want to sort this in alphabetical order. So from A to Z. Now with my list selected, I'm going to go to the home ribbon. In the home ribbon, if I look here, I've got my sort button, this A to Z with a down arrow. I'm going to click on that, and it's basically saying it's going to sort by paragraphs, because each new line essentially is a new paragraph. So I'm going to sort these paragraphs. I'm sorting the text in ascending order, not descending order. Click OK. You're going to see this sort. There we go. It goes from B all the way down to W. So that's good. Next. Apply bullets to all the list in step 7. Doesn't say what bullets, it just says apply bullets. Make sure that the bullets are aligned to the left margin. The list is in single line spacing, no space before or after each line. There is a 6-point space after the last item in the list. Okay, they're doing this quite oftenly now, so let's just analyze that. So first step is I'm going to select my text. So this is my list. I'm going to go to my bullets and numbering in the home ribbon. I'm just going to add the default bullets. Now, automatically, my bullets, you can see, are actually aligned. They're actually indented a little bit. They're not starting right here on the left of this column. And I can see this in my ruler as well. Now, if you don't have the ruler, you can make this visible simply by going to View and ticking the ruler checkbox. So there my ruler's gone. Now my ruler's back. So essentially what I want to do now is I can either use the tabs here and drag that so it's aligned, but I'm going to do something else because I need to make it single line spacing anyway. I'm going to click on my paragraph settings. I'm going to, and we can see here it's got a left indentation of 0.63 centimeters. We're going to make that 0. So that will be no indentation, and I want 0 space after and 0 space before. Click OK. And there we go. We can see now our bullets are aligned to the left of this column. There it's single line spacing, but it says it wants a 6-point space after the last item. So between these two lines, there should be a space there. Now, two ways of doing this. I can either click on this last line or select it and put a 6-point space after the paragraph, which would be after this full stop, or I can click on this line or in somewhere in this paragraph and say put a 6-point space before. I'm going to do the first. So I'm going to click on this one. I'm going to go to paragraph settings and I'm going to give it a 6-point space after. And there we go. I've now got a nice 6-point space there. So it doesn't matter how you do it, whether you do the before or the after. Okay, so that's that done. Let's move on. The YC subhead paragraph style has already been created and applied to the 4 subheadings. Modify the YC subhead paragraph style so only the following formatting is applied. So I need to check the spelling of this and make sure the capital letters and small letters are correct. I need a serif font. This time it's Times New Roman. Font size 16, center aligned, bold italic only, single line spacing, and a 6-point space after. Okay, so let's go back. And we're now going to go and find, here it is here. So I can actually just right click on this and choose modify. Again, I prefer to open my my styles menu here. I'm going to select the subhead and modify. And then, so first of all, the spelling is correct. Serif font, no, that's sans serif font. So I'm going to make that Times New Roman. Size should be 16. Center aligned. Bold, italic only. So that one and that one, but not that one. Okay. Single line spacing. So let's go to the paragraph. So single line spacing and a 6-point space after. Click OK and OK. And it says, okay, take a screenshot, evidence. So I'm now going to go back and just modify this again. There we go. And I'm going to take a screenshot of that. Now, what they're actually looking for is this area here. That's where it's got all the information about your style. And obviously, the obvious ones on the screen, like bold, italics, so on and so forth. So I'm going to go to my, there we go. I need to close this dialog box and then go to my evidence document and paste my evidence there. There we go. Again, I'm going to move this one down to the next page. So nice big screenshots make it easy for the examiners to see what you've done. Okay, now then, have done that one. So let's move on. Locate the table in the document and then apply the YC table paragraph style to all the text in the table. Format only the first 2 rows of the table so they look like this. And then it says format the table so that 1-point black internal and external grid lines are displayed when printed. All the text on each row displays on one line, so no text wrapping. The table borders and all the data fit within the column width. There is a 6-point space after the table. So let's begin, first of all, by applying the style. First of all, let's find our table. Here's my table. And if I click anywhere in this table, you're going to see this little cross here at the top left corner of the table. By selecting this or clicking on it one time, it actually selects the entire table. So a couple of things I can see here. First of all, my table is going beyond the column width. So let's apply the table style. It's this one here. Okay. And the next thing that I always do, and in this case, it's actually okay because it tells me to apply borders, the internal and external borders. But I always go and apply the borders anyway. And if it doesn't want the borders, then I go and remove them once I've finished doing everything I need to do in the table. The reason why is this. You can see now very clearly all of your cells, whereas without the borders, it's quite difficult to understand what's going on. So I need to make the first 2 rows look like these 2 rows here. So first off, I'm going to select this area here, these 3 cells. I'm going to go to my layout of my table here, and I'm going to say merge cells. Now it actually has the cell, that text center aligned. So I'm just going, and it's got it center aligned. It doesn't actually show whether it's aligned in the center vertically as well, only shows the horizontal alignment. So I'm going to put both. I'm going to put it here. Okay, that looks about right. And the next, these are all aligned to the left, I need to select these two cells and give it a shade of gray. Now I can go to my table design, use my shading, and if I leave, it doesn't say how much shading, but if you leave your mouse rest on top of one of these, this one, for example, is 15% gray shade. This one is 25%. I'm just going to use 15. It doesn't matter which because it doesn't tell me. So I've done that part as well. Okay, the next thing is I need to make my table fit within the column. So I'm just going to move this as much as what. Now you can see here, that's too much because this one now has been text wrapped. It's using 2 lines. I don't want that. So I'm just going to adjust that and always work from left to right. You're going to see this when we're doing access as well. Oops. Let's just take that there. There we go. And now I'm going to take this column here and just make it as tight as possible without getting any text wrapping. And then the same here. And then the same here. Okay. So now there we go. My table is within the column. Everything is on one line. There's no text wrapping. The 2 lines look good. Fantastic. Now the last thing that I want to do is to put a 6-point space after the table. So I'm going to click in this column here, anywhere in this column. It doesn't really matter because the paragraph formatting applies to the paragraph. And I'm going to put a 6-point space before. So I'm going to click here. And I'm going to put a 6-point space before. Click OK. And there you go. Can you see I've got that nice space between my table and my paragraph. Okay, finally it says spell check and proofread the document. Make sure that the list and table are not split over columns. There are no widows or orphans. There are no blank pages. Paragraph styles have been applied as instructed with consistent spacing maintained between all items. There is a 6-point space after the table and the list. Save the document using the file name using step 1. Print the document. Okay, so now let's go to the next part, which is databases. So we have a look at our question paper. It first starts off, and make sure you read these things at the top. They are actually quite important many of the times. You're now going to prepare some reports. Report dates are to be imported in the format of day, month, year, so DMY. Make sure all currency values display the same currency symbol and are set to 0 decimal places. Now, when you're importing your data, it may not actually remind you to do this. I think in this case it does, but it may not. And they're okay by doing that because they've already informed you at the top in this little description. So make sure you read that information that it gives you at the top. Okay, so first of all, it starts by saying, using a suitable database package, import the file j221bookings.csv. Use these field names and data types. Now, what kind of number this is, whether it's a double, so it's got decimal places, or it's integers, we don't know yet. We're going to see that in a minute. What's important is to have a look at this part here, because here is where we've got a date, and we need to make sure the date looks like that. So let's begin. Okay, so here I am. Here's my folder. I'm going to right click in an empty space here. I'm going to go to new, and I'm going to start a new Microsoft Access database. You can give it the name. It's entirely up to you. I'm just going to leave it like that. Now I'm going to double click on it to open it. So this is basically the shell. It's going to contain all of my tables. Now, first step is I'm going to go to external data, new data source, from file, text file. I'm going to browse to find the file it told me that I'm going to be using, which is going to be, well, that's in my desktop, in my folder with all my other files, J221 bookings. So I'm going to click on that and click on open. Now I'm going to be importing this as a new table in my database. So I'm going to click on OK. Next step is I need to check all of this data that we see here and make sure it's readable. If it's illegible and it's got some weird characters and it's just not text, then make sure you raise your hand because more than likely your file was corrupt. Okay, it's delimited with things like comma or tab separate each field, and that's because each piece of data is separated with a comma, and that's correct. So go to next. Next, we can see here the first row contains field names, and we can see that first row does contain field names. And because we are actually importing this file as a new table in our database, well, it's definitely going to have the first row is going to have the field names. Next. So this is where we set up our data type. So I'm going to click on advanced. Let's just move this over here. Just have a look at the data very quickly. So we can see here that the customer ID is actually a number. Street address is text. What else do we have here? Telephone number. So we've got a telephone number here, and we're going to see it actually says that the telephone number is text. The reason why it wants you to put it as text, as short text, is because it's got zeros, leading zeros on this number. And a number value, a number data type cannot start with a 0 unless it's a fraction, for a decimal, 0 point something. In this case, it's not. Here we've got the date. Okay, days again is numeric data, but very small numbers. The only reason I'm looking at this, and I'm not going to do anything about this, but when we are actually doing databases, the size of these values will determine whether we're going to choose something like integer or long integer. Now, long integer data types only allow things, numbers up to and between minus and plus 32,000, somewhere around there. So if you try to put a number larger than 32,000, you get an error in an integer, in which case you need a long integer because it can hold much larger numbers. To be safe, always use long integer. So I'm going to go to next. I'm going to go to advanced before I could have done it from here or from here, doesn't matter. I'm just going to click on advanced. And I'm going to check. Why don't I bring this down here and use this screen? So we're going to check here all of what it's saying. So basically title is text. You can see that title is short text, first name, last name, text. Customer ID is a number. Street address is text. Everything's good. What I'm going to do, I'm going to leave, however, the telephone number. I'm going to leave it as a number. I'm going to do this so that I get an error and show you what you do if you do get an error. So the last thing I want is departure date is a date. And everything is correct if I leave it. So just by default, it's picked up everything. I'm going to click on OK and go back. And then it says that the customer ID is the primary key. So I'm just going to go to next. Customer ID is the primary key. Now, because I didn't change the data type of the telephone, finish. If I click on close, you can see I'm going to get two tables, not one, but two. And one of them is called import errors. So if I open this, this actually shows me what I've done wrong. It says I've got a type conversion failure for the field telephone. And it's got an error for every single entry. Now, there were 979 entries. We can see that at the bottom. I've got 979 errors. So the only way to fix this is close that. Do you want to save? No. Right click on this, and we want to delete that. Yes. And I want to delete that as well. You can't fix it. You have to import it again. So let me do that quickly. External data, new data source from file, text file. We're going to browse. There's my bookings. Click on OK. Next. First row contains field names. Next. I'm going to go to advanced. Now, everything was correct before. So the only thing that I didn't need, which I needed to do and I didn't do, was telephone number. Change that to short text. Okay. Now I'm going to click on OK. Next. It said here that customer ID is primary key. So customer ID is primary key. Next, and finish and close. And now you see I only get one table. So before I go to the next part, I'm going to double click to open this table. I'm going to go to home and click on the design view, this one here. And I'm just going to make sure that my date field now is correct. Because when I look at my date field now, you can see the date field has got the short date format. That one there. It actually wants this middle date format that we can see here. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to go to design view with my table open. I'm going to choose my date, departure date, that one there. So I'm going to click on that. And in the format section, I'm going to click here and I'm going to choose medium date. You see, it gives you a small example there as well. So I'm going to click on that. And then I'm going to go save and go to normal view. And we can now see that my date format is correct. I don't have anything to do with currency in this table, so I don't need to change any currency. I don't need to put a currency symbol or put 0 decimal places. This one is finished. Let's go to our question paper. So that's that one. Then it says to do the same, import this table, J221 yachts.csv. These are the data types. So you can see this one here, 2 decimal places. That basically means that this one here is going to be a double. Again, when you're doing data types, single and double basically means it's a number with decimal values. And if it's a single or double, simply determines how many decimal points you can put, how many values you can put after the decimal point. You could put far more in a double. So I always use double to be safe, although you're 100% fine with single as well. The next thing that we want is the day rate. That's a numeric currency, 0 decimal places, currency symbol with 0 decimal place. So I need to put that currency symbol as well. Next, set the yacht reference field as a primary key, that one there. Okay, let's go begin. So again, I'm going to go to external data, new data source from file, text file, and I'm going to browse. Now you can see here, I've actually got 3 options now, and that's because I've already got a table in my database, this J221 bookings. And I could, if I wanted to, import data and add it into this particular table. But it doesn't ask us to append anything. So we just want to import the new data as a new table. So I'm going to go to Browse. We're going to go to this one, J221 Yachts, open, click OK. Make sure this data is readable, which it is. Next. First row contains field names. There they are there. I'm going to go to Next. And then I'm going to go to Advanced. So I'm going to set up again my my data types. So the yacht name, yacht make, yacht reference, depart port, and depart country are all text. So all of these are text. That's correct. Then it's got built is a number. If we see that number, let me just close that, click OK. And if I just scroll over a little bit, build or built, you can see that's actually the year. So again, it's an integer. Length is the decimal value. Everything else, all the other numbers are integer values. So let's go to Advanced, and that makes sense with what we've got in the question paper. So for length, actually for built, where are we? Built, that's long integer, fine. Length, I want it double. That's correct. I'm not going to set the 2 decimal places yet. And then I've got cabins, toilets, and guests. These are all integers. Day rate, this is currency. So that needs to be changed to currency. And again, we're going to do the formatting in a minute. So I'm going to click on OK. I'm going to go to Next. Primary key, it said yacht ref. So yacht ref and finish. And I should only get one table. There we go. I'm going to open this table. I'm going to go again from Home, Design View, and now I'm going to make my changes. So length, if I look at the length, we can see here we've got this number 11.3, and here we've got 12.35. Now, some of these numbers have got 2 decimal places, some have got 1 decimal place. We need to make sure all of them are 2 decimal places. So basically this one here, 11.3 should be 11.30. So let's go to the Design View. I'm going to go to my length, click on number. I'm going to say decimal places here. I'm going to put that to 2. Now, this is 2 basically means the maximum number of decimal places. If I look at that when I click on save, you can see still it's 11.3. Now, if this was 11.337, then it will now be 11.33, 2 decimal places. So that doesn't resolve my problem. However, what I can do now is say this on the format, make it fixed. Okay, so it's going to be 2 decimal places fixed. I'm going to click on save, preview, and you can see all of these numbers now are 2 decimal places. My 11.3 has got that 0 at the end. So that works fine. The next one I want to look at is the currency one. So I'm going to choose currency. I want 0 decimal places. So instead of auto, I'm going to click on 0. But for the format, I need to choose a currency symbol. So it's up to you what currency symbol you want to use. If I just click on save without choosing one, you can see currency, it gives me a default pound sign. You can leave that because it doesn't specify to use something else. But if you do want to use something else, you can see it's 0 decimal places because I put that to 0, and it's got me that pound sign, the English sterling pound sign. That's fine. So if I wanted to change that, I could change that from here. So let's say it said use euro, you can choose this one here. Okay. I'm going to leave it. The reason I'm leaving it is so that I can play it safe. If I forget to change another currency to euro, and I've got one showing euro and the other one pound sterling, then I'd lose a mark. So just leave the default. Okay, that's that. I'm going to click on Save and close that. Go back to my question paper. Okay, so we want to take screenshot evidence of the table structures showing the primary keys, field names, and data types. Place this in your evidence document. Okay, so I'm going to open up the first table, go to Design View, and I'm going to take a screenshot. Now, all you need is just this piece here. Okay, that's fine for a screenshot. And I always suggest just give them the bare minimum, but make sure you show everything. What I want to show is these things here. I want the name of the table. I want to see that thing there, which is the primary key field, the field names, and the data types. You don't need to highlight them, but since I've added them, I'm just going to leave them there. That goes there, evidence 4. And then I'm just going to go to my next one now. I can close that, open the next one. I'm going to go to Design View. And in this particular one, I may want to show what I've done with the currency, or I may want to show what I've done with the length, that it's fixed and 2. So again, as I said, sometimes I get a little bit cocky with my screenshots. So I would put all of that, and that basically displays my name, the file name, the primary key, and I'm also showing you here that I've made it fixed that it's 2 decimal place. They don't need this bottom part, but again, so probably best to avoid. They don't ask for it, don't put it. Okay, so that's all okay there. You can see that that's a bit big. I'm just going to make that just a little bit smaller, like that, so it fits on one page, but still readable, and I'm going to move that down. Okay, create a one-to-many relationship between yacht ref and the yacht ref in the yachts table and yacht ID in the bookings table. Take a screenshot evidence to show this. Okay, so essentially when we create a relationship, one table has got a primary key field, which it will only see that item one time, and it's linked to another table where it probably has the same field, let's say a student ID, and it will find that record many times. This is why it's called a one-to-many relationship. So to do this, go to Database Tools, Relationships. I'm going to double click on this table so that it adds it. And I'm going to double click on this one so it adds that. If you double click again and you've got the same table twice, you want to get rid of one, otherwise you're going to get errors. So I'm just going to right click on that and hide table. That removes the table. Now I want to connect, it says here, the relationship between the yacht ref in yachts table. So this is the yachts table, this is the yacht ref field, and I'm going to link that with the yacht ID in the bookings table. Here's the yacht ID. So I'm going to click, hold the mouse button down, drag, and then drop my mouse and let go over the yacht ID. And that's going to create this relationship. Now, some people go and take the relationship, the screenshot from here. Don't do that. You will lose marks. If I use this screenshot like that, you will lose the mark because here it says create, which means you intend to create it, you just haven't. So you won't get the mark for that. So I'm going to click on create because I can check this is correct and this is a one-to-many relationship. Click on create. There's my relationship, the graphical there showing you the link between the two. Now I'm going to, if I click away, I'm going to click once to select that line, then double click on it. That's going to open this up. And can you see now it says OK instead of create. I'm going to take a screenshot of all of this together with the relationships tab. And that basically gives me the graphical representation of the relationship and the detailed section. And I'm going to put that in my evidence document. So here we go, evidence 5. There we go. Okay, so that's that done. I'm going to click on OK and close that. Do I want to save? Yes, I do. Let's go back. Okay, enter the following details as a new record in the bookings table. Now, I'm going to do something a little bit extra here. I'm going to also create a data entry form, but you don't have to because it doesn't ask you to. But maybe in another paper, it does ask you to. So I'm going to, first of all, well, let's have a look at the question. It says, enter the following details in the bookings table. So the way you would add details in the bookings table, a new record, I'm going to open the bookings table. I can either scroll to the bottom all the way down and go to this very last line. This is the add, can you see that little star here? And that's the add new record row. You could also click, so let's say I'm up here, and if I go down here in this area here where you can see how many records there are, you can go to the next one, the previous. You've got this little play button here with a little yellow like star. Clicking on that will take you automatically to the last record, and this is the entry record. And you can just type the values in here directly, okay? And that will be fine. That's all you have to do. But I want to make this a little bit more complete, so I'm also going to show you how to make a data entry form. So with the bookings table selected, I'm going to go to create, and then from here I'm going to create a new form wizard. It's going to ask me which table do I want to generate a form for. So I've got my two tables. I want the bookings form, and I want to be able to add data to all of these fields. So I'm going to click on everything, and that's it. Click on finish. And now that's made my form for me. Now, if you are asked to make a data entry form, they're going to ask you to make it user-friendly. So I'm going to show you how to do that. You can, of course, again, click on this little play button at the bottom with the little yellow star, and that will take you straight away to the next one where you can just add your data in here. But let's make this a little bit more user-friendly. So I'm going to go to Design View. I'm first going to use the Control button to select multiple items and just make these things a little bit smaller, because when things are too big, text entry boxes are too big, then let's just make that one a bit bigger. You know, users get a little bit confused because they say, well, for such a small number, why does it need the big box? Maybe I'm doing something wrong. So to make it a little bit more user-friendly, we do actually change these boxes a little bit here. Okay. All right. Now, the next thing I want to do is give it a decent name. So I'm just going to change that, the title, make it user bookings entry form. We'll just put that on one line. Now, the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put some navigation buttons here. So I'm going to click on, I'm in the form design view here. I'm going to click on the button, draw a rectangle, and I'm going to say, for example, go to next record, go next. I'm going to use text. It's easier to understand, and click finish. I'm going to do another one. Go to previous record is always a good one. Next, use text and finish. And then I'm going to do one more where I'm going to add a record. So record operations, add new record, next, and I'm just going to say add record, finish. So I've got some nice buttons here. Make sure everything's nicely aligned. Okay, and that makes a more user-friendly form. Now, the only thing that you really need to do after this is modify these titles. Do not change anything in these ones. These are the field names so that it knows where to get the data from. These ones here, these are just labels, these things here. So you can change it. So, for example, cust ID doesn't make much sense, does it? So to make it user-friendly, you'd put, say, something like customer ID, okay? And yacht ID, that's pretty much okay. And that makes it a little bit more user-friendly. So now let's go add our record. So if I go to normal view, I'm just going to click on save on my form. So there's my form, it's saved. So if I want to add the record, if I want to go next, I can go to next, go to previous, add a new record, and now I'm going to add the data that it gives me here. Okay, so I'm just going to fast forward this. Okay, so I've entered all the data. If I go to next record, you see that's the blank one. It's the last one. If I go to previous record, there it is there. You can see it's actually saved it. And I can also see this. If I close this and open my bookings table, and I'm going to press Control F. So from there, and I'm going to search in the entire document, I'm going to look for the yacht ID, which is, well, actually customer ID 2766, and find. There it is. That's the data that I've just entered just now. Mr. Erwin Brown, 2766, 18 Fernwick Cottages. Okay, so that's how you use a data entry form. But as I said, for this paper, all you had to do was just go to the very last entry and add the data here. Okay, so I can close that now and go back to my question paper. Okay, check your data for entry errors, save the data. Now, here's the number 16. Now, number 16 is basically you need to create a tabular report. And whenever you're going to generate reports or labels, which we're going to see as well today, you have to create a query first. If you don't create a query, you can't generate the report. So the first thing is always create the query. And I always teach my students to identify which areas are created in the query and which parts we need to do in the report. So the first thing is, it says, select the records where your name includes the text C. So that's going to include the text C, and days is 10 or more. So obviously both of these are going to be part of the query. So this part here is query and query because it's actually filtering the data. Contains a new field called charter. Oh, let me just get rid of that. So that's going to be a new field called charter cost. Now, the new fields which are calculated at runtime, these are actually part of the query because these are generated when the query runs. So that's going to be part of the query. Then displays the charter cost field in currency. Well, again, that's part of the query. Shows only the fields. So we need to filter these down. Well, we need to only display the fields that it tells us here. And they have to be in this particular order. Now, you can do this in the report, and you're going to see because you can choose which items to put in the report and which order. But I always do this in the query, and then I check it in the report. Just an extra piece of caution. So sorts the data in ascending order of yacht. That would always be report, because even if you do sorting in the query, sometimes the report will change that. So you're best off doing this in the report. Page orientation is going to be report. Single page wide on 2 pages report. Includes the text, this text here, as a title report. Calculates the total number of bookings report, because that's going to be, it places this at the end of the report. So basically has to generate the report before it actually adds it at the end of the report. So part of the report. Has the label total bookings to the left of that value. So that's going to be report, and displays only your name, center number, candidate number in the footer. Part of the report. So the first part that we need to do is these ones here, which are actually part of the query. So let's begin with that. So I'm going to go to create, and then from here I'm going to do query design view. I'm going to add both my tables by double clicking in this section here. If you accidentally add an extra table, again, you can right click and cut it. So if I was to do that again, I can just right click and I can just remove that table. Make sure you've only got the tables it asks for. Then I'm going to click on that close button there, so I can just have a little bit more space and just make my properties a bit smaller. In fact, I'm going to close the properties and open it when I need it. So first step is, I always work a little bit unorthodox, should I say, because these ones here are all the fields that I want to have in this report. And I want them in this order, all of these. Then what I do, I add these in the right order first. Now, this one, charter cost, I don't have as part of the table, so I create it in this section here. Okay, but that's okay. I'm going to do it as I'm going along, because this way I make sure I put everything in the right order, just as a second extra measure. So I'm going to start from here. Shows only the fields title, first name, last name. So let's go add that in. Title, first name, last name. Then it's got telephone, depart date, depart port. Telephone, depart date, depart port is over here. Yacht name and length. Yacht name, length. Days, day rate. So I've got days is here. Day rate is here. And charter cost. Now, charter cost I need to generate. It's this one here. It basically says contains a new field called charter cost, which is calculated at runtime. In fact, this is the calculate the value days multiplied by the day rate. Now, these are all currency values, so I'm going to need to make sure I do that as well. So, to create a field which is generated at runtime, I'm going to right click on this next one in the top cell here, and I'm going to go to build. From here, I need to be able to multiply the days by the day rate. Now, days we can see is in the bookings table. Day rate is in the yachts table. Tables are part of the database. So I'm going to open my database here, open tables. I'm going to open the bookings table by clicking on it once. I'm going to find days, double click on it, and it adds it up here. And I'm going to do multiply, which is the asterisk. I'm now going to choose my yachts table, find the day rate, double click, and there's my calculation. The days in the bookings table multiplied by the day rate in the yachts table. I'm going to click on OK. Now, before I do anything else, I'm going to test this and make sure it works. So I'm going to click on Run. You can see automatically this is because it's currency. It's generated from data, which is currency. It's already analyzed it as currency. It's got 2 decimal places though, so we're going to need to fix that. But at the same time, we can see it works. Now the title is EXPR1. We want to change that. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to delete EXPR1, but being very careful, I don't delete that colon. And I'm going to call that charter cost underscore cost. Now it's an underscore because you can't have spaces. So, and now I'm going to run this again. Now, every time I make a change inside a query, I always run it to make sure it works. If I do everything in one go and then something doesn't work, I don't know what actually is causing the problem. Okay, now it also says displays the charter cost field as currency, no decimal places. So now I'm going to right click on this, go to properties. I'm going to go to format. And I'm going to actually decimal places, and I'm going to choose 0. Now I'm going to run this and make sure it works. And there you go. Charter cost, no decimal places. And because it's using the default currency symbol, I'm good. Okay, the next part, it says, you can see I'm actually working upwards. So now I need to do the filtering. So the yacht name includes the text C. So I'm going to go to yacht name. Now, yacht name, if I run this, we can see that the yacht name here, if I just expand that a bit, you can see there's nothing called C. So basically, you can't just use the word C because that's not what it's looking for. So if I put C here, then it's looking for all the yacht names which actually are called C, and there aren't any. It wants all the ones that contains the word C. And contains means it could have the word C at the beginning, the middle, or the end of the name. So I'm going to do this, like, space, asterisk, which is a wildcard. So basically, it can begin, the name can begin with anything. That's what the asterisk means. It then has to have the word C, and then it can end with anything. So because it can begin with anything, it can begin with C or not. Because it can end with anything, it can have the word C or not. But it has to contain the C anywhere in the name. So if I run that now, go to View, there we go. So all of the ones in the yacht name have got the word C. So here it's at the beginning, here it's at the end, and here it's actually in the middle of the name. So all of these, you can see there's only 72 items left now, and all of them have a yacht name C. The next part, it says days is 10 or more. Now 10 or more basically means this symbol here, greater or equal to 10. So let's go do that. I'm going to go to days. I'm going to put here greater equal to 10. And I'm going to run that. So now we can see all the days in this field here is either 10 or greater. And that's left me now with 41 results. Okay. Let's have the question paper. So I've done everything to do with the query. I can now save my query. This is question number 16. So I'm going to go from here. I'm going to click on save, and I'm going to call this Q16. Now I do this because this query is to do with question 16. If I have more than one query, I know which query is for which question. And now I can close this. Perfect. Now I need to generate the report, which is going to be based on this query. So I'm going to go to Create, Report from Wizard, Report Wizard. I'm going to choose, now because I've got that selected, it's already chosen it. I'm going to choose which table or query I want to generate the report for. So I want to make sure I'm using the query for question 16. I'm going to add everything. And here is where I need to be careful. I want to add everything in the right order that it said in this part here. So I need to have the title, first name, last name, telephone number, so on and so forth. Now, because I did this already in the query, these are already in the right order, but double check them. So I'm just going to add everything. Go to next. It says no grouping. So if we have a look here, it says do not group the data. So there's no grouping here. And now I'm going to go to next. Sorting. Do I want to sort? Now, this is where we said we do the sorting in the report. So it did say that sorts data into ascending order of yacht name and descending order of depart date. So first, sorting ascending order of yacht name, ascending, and then descending order of depart date. So I'm going to click on this, depart, descending. So first it's going to sort on the yacht name, and then the secondary sort is the depart date, descending. Next. Now, it says that the page orientation is landscape, so we're going to do that. It's tabular. So if we look here, it did actually say that it wanted the tabular report. So we're going to go to next. And then finally, it's going to say preview the report. So I'm going to click on finish. And here's my report. So straight away, I'm going to see some errors. Not errors, but things that need fixing. First, the title of the report. I didn't add it, and so I needed to do that. Secondly, I've got these hashtags here. Basically, these is numerical data because it can't fit the data. It's put in the hashtags. And then I've got some of the titles which are chopped off. Maybe some of the names. So let's go to page 2. Not sure if I've got any names. Yeah, I've got some names over here chopped off, I think. So what I need to do now is go to the design view. So I'm going to close the print preview. And from this design view, I need to modify this. So the first step is to put the correct title. Includes the text, larger font at the top. So Sea Fleet Bookings. So from here, I'm going to type Sea Fleet, type it exactly as it's displayed, bookings. Now, the next thing that I want to do is to make sure all of these things fit properly. Now, just like before, we're going to work from left to right. Now I'm going to do the first couple, and then I'm going to actually fast forward this. So I'm going to click on this, hold the control button and click on that as well. I'm going to adjust this width, and it will adjust both of them at the same time. And then I'm going to have a view and make sure that it fits. And can you see I've done, it's too much. I'm chopping some of that off. So I'm just going to go back and expand that a little bit. And I essentially want to make that just big enough to make sure everything is displayed. Yeah, just a little bit more here. There we go. And just make that just a little bit bigger. Okay, and just make sure that everything is displayed so we don't lose any marks there. There we go. Now, I've got some space between yacht name and date. So now what I can do is I'm going to select by clicking and dragging over it, bring the date over as close as possible to this one, and then expand it to the right, like that. Depart date. And see, some of this is not showing, so I'm going to select some of this and make that a bit smaller, because I need to work from left to right to make sure everything will essentially fit. There we go. So the depart date is okay. Now, title is only something small, so I'm going to go to here. I'm going to select these two and just make that small. That's giving. So the rest of this, I'm just going to fast forward for you. Now you can see here, everything should now fit nicely. You can see I was working methodically from left to right, and that just makes sure everything is going to fit. They're not going to give you so much data that it's not going to fit. So if you work from left to right, make everything nice and tight, it should work out pretty well. So there we go. Everything looks good. I'm just going to go to that page there. That's absolutely fine. Okay, so let's now go to our question paper. So from here, I've done that, and that. Calculates. Now we want to do this one. Calculate the number of bookings and places. this is at the end of the report, formatted as an integer. So the number of bookings is basically the number of rows that we have, or how many results we have in this thing, in this particular report. So we basically need to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we want to count the records. So I'm going to go to Design View, and I want to put this at the bottom of the report. So if my report is 2 pages long, it should only appear once at the end of the report on the second page. Now, we can do this very easily simply by right-clicking on any one of these data values, not the headings. These are just the headings, the headers. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm just going to right-click on this one, and I'm going to go to Total and do Count Records. If I wanted to find, let's say, the total number of charter cost, add all of this up, then I would right-click on this one, go to Total and do a sum, and it will put the sum for me. But I'm just going to do this one here, right-click, Totals, and Count Records. And you can see underneath this one now, it's added the equals count asterisk. That basically means count all records. I'm going to run this. Again, just make sure, go to the bottom. There it is. Those are my records there. Now, then it says to add to the left of this, the title Total Bookings. To do this in my report design here, I'm going to click on Label, not Text Box. Text Box will actually come back with a request for you to add data, which you don't want. I want a label, and I'm going to draw a box here. And I'm going to type in here, Total Bookings, exactly as it's displayed. Click away. I'm going to select this box. I'm going to go to Home. I'm going to make this right aligned so it's nice and close to the count. And then I'm going to go to View, and there we go, Total Booking. You can see my G is a little bit chopped off there. So I'm just going to go and lift that up using my arrow keys. There we go. Okay. And if I want to bring the count over to the left as well, then I can just select that one, go to Home, and align that to the left. Now if I do a View, there we go, Total Bookings. Again, my G is a little bit off. So let's bring that up. I just need to make this a little bit bigger, like that. There we go. Okay, displays only your name, center number, and candidate number in the footer. So that's basically the page footer. That's this section here. Okay, we can see that here because it says page footer here. Now, these things here, we don't need them. So what I'm going to do, so it appears on the same position on every page. Doesn't say where. So I'm just going to get rid of this one here. Not needed. And I'm just going to draw another label. And I'm going to put this so it's on the right hand side. I'm going to type my details. CY 127 127 1 2 3 4 5, and I'm going to click away, select the box, and align that to the right, just so it's nice and neat. Now, if I do a preview, there we go. Everything's nice and neat. My name is at the bottom of that page. There's actually 2 pages. We're going to see this. Save and print your report, it says. So if I just click on Save, my report is saved. If I now go to Control P to print, actually let's do File Print so we can see the preview. File, Print, Print Preview. Here's my preview. Now you can see it's got my name at the bottom here on the first page. It doesn't have the count records on the first page. That's not the end of the report. If I go to the next page, which is the last page, there's my total bookings. Here's my name again. Everything is there. I'm just going to double check nothing is chopped off. I don't have any names cut off, and that looks good. I can proceed to print. Good, that part is finished, so I can close that report. We're going to do that printout, so we've done that printout. Take a screenshot evidence showing the database formula used to calculate the total number of bookings and place this in your evidence document. Okay, so I'm just going to open up my report again. I'm going to go to Design View, and I want a copy, I want a screenshot of that little formula there. So New, and I'm just going to do that. I'm going to put my title there as well. I go to my evidence document and put that there. That's evidence 6. Perfect. So get rid of that. And now we go to our question paper. So number 17, here we're going to do using fields from both tables, produce labels. Now, again, we want to produce labels. We're going to use fields from the tables, which means I have to create a query. I have to generate a new query. So this query is going to select days is 28. the part country does not include Croatia are sorted in ascending order of last name. Now it says using this selection produce labels which, okay, so 2 columns, 4 rows with 8 labels to a page. Okay, so if it's 2 by 4 it will be 8. For example, the label could be 99 millimeters wide and 67.7 millimeters high. We want to display on the labels all of these fields. So basically I need to include all of these fields in my query. And then finally it says have your name, center number and candidate number on the left at the bottom of each label. Modify the format of the yacht name field, so that's this one up here, so that it is center aligned and displayed in a bold, larger font size. Okay, so let's begin. I obviously need to create a new query, so I'm going to close this. I'm going to go to Create, Query Design. I'm going to add both tables again. Expand these a little bit. And again, I'm going to do just like before. I'm going to go find all the fields it wants me to add in the label. So that's going to be all of these fields here and add them to my query. And then I'm going to worry about filtering my data using this section here. And this is why I say it's always good to read the entire question before starting doing anything. So I want to add yacht name and then title and then first name, last name. So yacht name, title, first name, last name, postcode, and then I want depart port and then depart country, depart port here, depart country, depart date, that one there, and finally days. Now I don't know if there's something else that I need as well to filter. We're going to have a look at it in a minute. So where is days? Days is here. Okay, now if I look at my paper, so I've now added all the things that it wants for my label. Now it says I'm going to go and filter. So I only want to show days is 28 and depart country does not include Croatia. So I'm going to go find days. I'm going to put 28. I'm going to run that first. So there we go. Only days is 28. And depart country does not include Croatia. So depart country here, I'm going to say not Croatia. And it's going to identify straight away the word not. Look, as soon as I click away, you can see it's got the not and the Croatia in speech marks. So if you do remember that, you can do that. But you can also use this symbol here, the 2 chevrons, which is not equal to. So I'm just going to use not, run that. And now I can see days is 28, and for the depart country, I don't have Croatia in there. So that's good. Finally, it says a sorted in ascending order of last name. Now, again, you can do this when you generate the labels. That's absolutely fine. But because it's only one sorting, I'm just going to add this anyway. So sort on last name. And I'm going to do that ascending. Now, again, makes no difference. I'm still going to do this when I generate my labels. So as far as the query is concerned, that's finished. I'm going to save that as Q17 now, because that's the query for question 17, and click OK. Now I can close that. So the next step is, instead of generating a report, we're going to generate labels based on that query. So let's begin. Create. We're going to go to labels. Okay, so here we see our label generator. The first thing that we see is we've got a whole load of labels here. And these are all manufacturer labels, predefined, so you can choose a manufacturer and choose basically the code or the product number. Usually the first one will have something pretty close to what you're looking for. So we can see this one here is actually 2 by 4, so that's going to be 8 labels per page, 65 by 95 millimeters, and that's kind of similar to what it's asking you to do here. Okay, but I'm going to show you how you can create your own custom label. So I'm going to go to Customize. I'm going to go to New. Going to give it the name. I'm going to call it yacht. And next I need to check the units of measure. So I don't want English because that's going to be in inches. You can see that there. I want metric. That's in centimeters. The label type is going to be a sheet feed. So it's going to be page printer. It's not going to be continuous stationery, which has got perforated pages where it actually links a whole box of pages and it keeps feeding through. That's usually on a dot matrix. So we want sheet feed, and secondly, we want a portrait. The next thing that we want is number across is going to be 2. So we only want 2. So we want 2 columns going across. Now, on the left-hand side, we see the size of the label, the width and the height. And on the right-hand side, we basically design the margins within that label. So the height is going to be 6.77. The width is 9.9. I'm not going to put you actually need page margins like the top, left and right margins, this one, and this one. But if you don't, because the printer can't actually print all the way to the edge, so you have to define margins. But if I just leave that and proceed, it's going to give me a small error and it will correct it for me automatically. And remember, if you do see some errors in this, as long as what you're printing out is okay, then you're fine. You're not actually going to design an actual label where you've got the labels already cut on a piece of paper and it has to be printed on there. Otherwise, it will give you all the information. For example, the margins and the labels and the page margins. So with all this selected, I'm just going to click on OK. I've got this little error message saying that one or more margins are set outside the printable area of the page. Would you like to increase the appropriate margins? I'm going to click on yes. And you can see here it's added some page margins for the left, the right, and the top. I'm going to click on OK. And then I'm going to close. So here's my customized label. If I want to go back to the company labels, I just remove that tick, and these are all the manufacturer labels. If I want to see my custom labels, I select this, and I'm back into my customized labels. So I'm going to select this label. I'm going to click on next. I'm not going to worry about the fonts or the formatting because it doesn't say anything about that. And I'm going to create my label here. So I'm going to, at this point, I'm going to go and add all of these things which I've got here. That one, that, all of those, that, and that. I'm going to pay special attention to the spaces where I've got space here, a space here, and here I've got a comma. Okay, so let's go and create that. So first of all, it wants the yacht name. I'm going to double click on that. The next, I'm going to press enter. It wants title, space, first name, space, last name, enter, postcode, enter, depart, port, comma, and space, depart country, enter, depart date, and then enter, and then days. And at the bottom here, it actually wanted my name, center number, and candidate number. CY127, 12345. And it actually wants this yacht name center aligned and bold, but that's going to come later in the design view. So I'm going to go to next. Do I want any sorting? Yes, it did say sorting. If you remember, it's wanted sorting ascending order of last name. We did this in the query, but we're going to put it here as well. And we're going to go to next. And that's basically it. Finish. We can see that I've got 2 columns. All my data is there. My information is there. So all I'm going to do now, I'm going to go to design view so I can make this top label, this top field at the top, the yacht name, to be center aligned and bold. So I'm going to go to view, design view. I'm going to select this one here, which is yacht name. I'm going to go to home, click on bold. I'm going to make it center aligned. I'm going to make it just a little bit bigger, not too big, just bigger than everything else. If I make it too big, then I'm going to have to adjust the height of everything else in there as well. Okay, now my label is actually quite, it's a bit bigger than I need, but that's fine. I can go back to view. It shows only 1 column. That's absolutely fine. That happens. But if you go to file, print, preview, however, you will see it's actually, now you may get this, as I said, you may be getting some little error messages. That's absolutely fine. Just click on OK and look at that. 8 labels, 1 page, 2 columns. Don't worry about some of these error messages. As I said, you're not giving all the information that you're required to create a proper label. So as long as you can print off what it says. So 2 columns, 4 rows. So you've got 8 items on 1 page. The label, the title at the top is center aligned, slightly bigger and bold. Your details on the bottom left, absolutely fine. All you have to do now is just print this. So now we can go on to the next step, which is going to be mail merge. Okay, so let's have a look at the question paper. The next section is mail merge. Unfortunately, this part has been removed from the syllabus. I'm not too happy about that because I think Mail Merge is a fantastic tool and it's used daily in all businesses. However, to be complete, I said I'll show the whole paper, so here we go. The first part is, it says here you're going to be creating a Mail Merge document using this file. And we're going to be using this file here as our data source. We're then going to replace the text and chevrons in the master document, which is this one here, the J221 inquiry, with the merge fields from the data source file as follows. So in the master document, in the Word document that we're going to have, we're going to replace all of these chevron fields here on the left column with fields from the data source on the right column. So let's begin. First of all, I'm going to open up J221 inquiry. In fact, before I do that, I'm going to open the details. I'm going to open the data which I'm going to be importing. So I'm just going to double click on this just to have a look at the data. And I can see here, so surname, forename, telephone. Let's just expand that. Inquiry type. Okay, now here's a word of advice. Whenever you're going to do a mail merge or something like this, save it as an Excel document first. It's much more compatible when you're using Microsoft Word as your master document. If you don't, sometimes when you're looking at the edit of the filtering of the merge fields, you may not see the data if it's a CSV file. We've noticed this in a couple of papers. So I'm just going to do File, Save As, and I'm going to save this as an Excel document, an Excel workbook, and click on Save. Now, you're not asked to do this, but you're also not asked not to do this because you're not going to use this in any way. The idea that they're using CSV files is because they can't give you Excel files or Word document files, because then they would be saying this is a Word or an Excel examination, not an ICT examination. So I'm going to now open, I've closed my Excel document, so I've got no Excel files open. I'm going to open up now J221 inquiry. So here's my document. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to link my master document with my new Excel document, which I saved. So I'm going to go to Mailings, select Recipients, use an existing list, go to my folder, which is on the desktop. And now I should be able to see, here it is here. I'm going to use the XLSX file, not the CSV file. You can, but if you do see problems, then just open the CSV file, save it as an Excel document, and use that. Okay, so there's only one spreadsheet in that document, in that Excel file, and it's called J221 Details. So I'm going to select that and click on OK. Now, you won't see anything happening, but you will see all of these buttons are now enabled. And that basically means my Word document is now linked with that Excel document. So the next step is now to go and replace all of these chevron fields with what it tells us in the document. So I'm going to select that, delete that. So last should be replaced with surname. So insert merge field, surname. Then I want first. That's forename. Telephone is telephone. Tel is telephone. Now I'm just going to fast forward this up to a point where I have to do something different. Okay, so I've added all of these. I was very careful to make sure I didn't remove any commas. I added all the spaces as they were, everything that was displayed. I made sure I kept that pound symbol there, and I've done everything as it was. Now, all I have to do, if I go back to my question paper, it says replace text candidate details here with your name, center number and candidate number. Save and print your master document showing the merge field codes. Now, the one thing it doesn't say in this paper, and I double checked it, it doesn't say anything about the date. So I'm going to add the date as well. So candidate details are going to go here. CY 127 1 2 3 4 5. Now for the date, I'm going to use quick parts. I'm going to add a date field. Instead of just typing the date, most likely it's going to want a date field. So I'm just going to go to Insert. I'm going to go find Quick Parts field. I'm going to choose Date. And I'm just going to use the short date. These are different formats here. And I'm going to click on OK. Now, the one other thing that they will normally do if they do ask you to put a date field is to place a screenshot of the date field. So I'm going to right click on this. I'm going to go to toggle field code. You can see that there. And I'm going to take a screenshot of that. Now, it doesn't ask me to do this, but most likely this was overlooked when they were doing the exam paper. So I'm just going to take a screenshot of that. And you would be asked to put this in your evidence. So I'm just going to put this at the end, just for completeness, in case that was the case. So basically, it just shows that you can put that merge field. Then it tells you to actually print off showing the field codes, the master document. So that's the master document. The field codes are actually all of these double chevron fields here. So I will simply go to File, Print, and I will print this document off as it is, the master document. So that's that part. The next part will be save and print your master document. We've done that. Set an automated filter to select the records where the cabins is 4 or 5. So let's go back. We now need to go to our mailings ribbon at the top. We're going to go to edit recipient list. And then from here, we're going to click on filter. Now, remember at the beginning of this mail merge exercise, I said it's best to save your data file from a CSV to an Excel document. The reason is this: if you leave it as a CSV, sometimes when you go to filter here, all of these, although the filter there, you can't see them. But if you've got it saved as an Excel document, you will see them. So I'm just going to go to filter. I want cabins. So I'm going to look for cabins there. And I want it to be cabins is 4 or 5. Okay, so I want it to be equal to 4. And I'm also going to change that here, or cabins very easily equal to 5. So that's cabins equal to 4 or cabins equal to 5. If I click on OK, I should be able to see the cabins here. There you go, 4 and 5. Okay, so very easy to do that filter. Click OK. So now it's only going to merge three documents. It says take a screenshot to show the use of your automated selection method and place this in your evidence document. So again, I'm going to go to my mailings, edit recipient list, and I'm going to do my filter. And I'm just going to put that there and take a screenshot of this, showing my results. As I said, when you're really confident about what you've done, you want to show as much as possible just to make sure you're showing that you know exactly what you're doing. Go to my evidence document. Let's just close that dialog box, cancel, close that. Now I can open my evidence document, and here's evidence 7. Let's bring that down. And I'm going to put that there. Okay, great. Okay, let's go back to the question paper. Now, last, merge and print the customer inquiry forms for the selected records only, and that's it. So from here, I can do one of two things. I can either go from finish and merge, I can edit the individual documents, click OK, and that basically creates another document. Can you see? This is my master document, and this document is the document with all the fields merged. So since there were 3 records, there's going to be 3 pages. Each one has got the information of the next record. And then I can just print this by going to File, Print. Or the other way is, if you're really comfortable with what you're doing, I'm not going to save that. From here, you can just go to, from your mailings, finish and merge, print documents. And once you click on that, if you click on all, it's going to ask you where you're going to print, and you just click print, and it will print the 3 pages. Personally, I prefer doing edit individual documents and seeing what I've got. If you want to see the results in your mail merge, just click on preview results, click on that. And by going to next, you can see all the ones that you got. So you got 3 results maximum, and there you go. You know exactly you've done it correct. Okay, that's mail merge. Let's go on to the last and final exercise that you have to do, and that is the presentation, the PowerPoint section. Okay, so let's start with the PowerPoint presentation. We can see in the question paper here, it actually says you're going to create a short presentation. All slides must have a consistent layout and formatting. Create the presentation of 7 slides using the file, that one there. Unless otherwise instructed, the slides must display a title and a bulleted list. So the first thing is, let's import that. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my folder where I've got all my files. I'm going to right click, new, and I'm going to create a new PowerPoint presentation. I'm not going to rename it. I'm just going to leave it default. Open this PowerPoint presentation. And the next thing is I need to import that RTF file. So I'm going to go to the home ribbon, go to new slide, and from here I'm going to go to slides from outline. Find the file that I want to import. It's J221 Adriatic RTF. So I'm going to double click on that, and it's imported my slides. So these are my 7 slides. Now, if it does import any blank slides, just have a look and see if the question paper says that you can delete any blank slides. Okay, next part of the question is going to be use a master slide to display the following features. I want to add automated slide numbers on the top left, your name, center number, and candidate number. It doesn't tell you where to put your name, center number, and candidate number, so just make sure that it appears on the same position on every slide and nothing overlaps, no items overlap. So your name shouldn't overlap anything. So let's go do that now. I'm going to go to View. I'm going to go to Slide Master. Now from here I need to scroll all the way to the top because this very first one is the master slide for all the other layouts. Okay, so if anything you change on this top one will be implemented to all of these layouts. If I choose this layout here, for example, it will only implement the changes on any slides with this particular layout. So be careful with this. Scroll all the way to the top, select this top one, and now I'm going to go and add the features that I want. So the first feature is I want slide numbers in the top left. So I'm going to go to Insert. I'm going to add a text box. I'm just going to draw a little text box there. And then from the Insert, if you look carefully, if I go to the Insert menu now, you've got this one here, Page Insert Slide Number. Now, your ribbon may look a little bit different. I've actually zoomed my screen in to 125%. So some of the buttons that you would normally see in the ribbon larger, they're actually smaller. But I've zoomed in basically to make it easier for you to see view this video. So I'm going to click on this Insert Slide Number. There it is there. Now I want to add my name and my details. Now at the bottom we've got, oops, right one. We've got these little placeholders. I'm just going to get rid of these. I don't need these. I never use these. I just create my own text boxes because that way I'm in control of what's going on. So I'm going to go to Insert Text. I'm just going to draw a little text box down here and enter my details. CY127 and 125. There we go. Okay, let's go have a look at see what it says. So that's it as far as the master slide is concerned. It then says format the first slide so that the title slide layout is applied with no bullets. The title and subtitle text are centered in the middle of the slide. So let's go back. I can close this now, go to View, Normal. This is the first slide. I'm going to go to my layouts. I'm going to choose a title slide, and that will automatically align everything to the center of the page vertically and horizontally. So that's that part done. Next, delete the slide with the title See Currents. So if I look over here in my slides, there it is, See Currents. I'm going to right click on this thumbnail, delete slide. There we go, it's gone. So I should now have 6 slides. Perfect. Let's go back. Now then, next part. Use the data in the file J221 weather.csv to create a vertical bar chart. This chart must compare only air temperature degrees centigrade high and air temperature degrees centigrade low. Values for only the months of May, June, July, August, and September. Display with labels the months on the category axis. Okay, so we're going to go and open this CSV file. That's our first step. So from here, I'm going to go open the CSV or J221 weather, and I'm going to have a look at the data that I've got. So first step is I'm going to select everything, double click between 2 columns so that it displays all of my columns and all the data within the columns nice and clearly. I'm just going to get rid of this very large. There you go. Okay, now, so I've got air temperature degrees high and air temperature degrees. So I want these 2 here, but I only want the months June, May, June, July, August, and September. May, June. Now, guys, the way I do this, the easiest way to do this, as far as I'm concerned, is delete anything you don't want. So you can either just make a quick copy of all of this and paste it somewhere else in your text so you've got the original. But what I'm going to do is this. I'm only going to leave, I want to get rid of that. So select those, delete. I'm going to delete these because I don't want those. I only want May, June, July, August, and September. And I only want air temperature high and low. So I'm going to delete that one. And I'm going to delete these two as well. Now, I'm not saying this is the best way to do it. I'm not saying this is the correct way of doing it, deleting data, but this isn't an Excel examination. So the easiest way to do this is just leave the data that you need. And here's a quick tip. Always delete this top left cell. Because if these were numbers, these two here were numbers, then it will think this is another data entry and these numbers were actually data. Let's say these were years. So by deleting that, you prevent any unwanted mistakes. So this is just the easiest way. Leave the data you want, delete the top left column and select this. From here, I can now go to Insert. I'm going to open my charts. This is a vertical bar chart. There we go. You can see it's put my months for me automatically. And let's go see what we need to do. So displays with labels the months on the category axis. Well, we've got that. We've done the chart. Label the chart as follows: average summer temperatures. Okay, so we're going to go click here, double click in here, and we're going to call that average summer temperatures. Then we want value axis title and category axis title. Now look, it's actually put that little degrees symbol. How sneaky is that? And this one should be months. So let's go and do that now. So we want to put the titles for the Y and X axes. So I'm just going to click on the chart. That's going to open this plus sign. I'm going to put axes titles. So now I've got the placeholders for the Y and X titles. I'm going to double click in here and I'm going to delete what's in here. Now I need that degrees symbol. So I'm just going to go to Insert, Symbol, and I'm going to look for that degrees symbol. And if I just scroll down slowly, I should be able to find, there it is. There's the degrees symbol there. Insert, close, and then a capital C. I mean, that's just really being nasty, isn't it? Okay, this one here, it should say months, again with a capital M. Next part of this says display the following: only the data values at the top of each bar, a legend showing air temp degrees C high and air temp degrees C low. Okay, so I've already got the legend here. So if I click on the plus sign, here's where the legend is. So if I remove that tick, the legend's gone. If I click on it, the legend is here. And I can also choose where to position the legend. It doesn't say, so I'm going to leave it there. I want data labels, so I'm going to click on that. And you've also got here, if you want them inside or above, I want them on the outside because it wanted it on the outside. So it says at the top of each bar, and I've done that. Then format the value axis scale to display a minimum value of 0, maximum value of 32, and increments of 4. This is a pretty nasty chart. This is more Excel than it is anything else. Okay, so to do this, to format the axes here, I'm going to click on it one time, and then right click to choose format axes. So I click one time to select the table, and now I can just right click on the axes, and I want to see, can you see it's actually selected that axes there? Let me do that one more time. Click on the table, and then I right click, and it should select the axes here. I can now go to format axes, and on the right hand side I've got minimum is 0, maximum I want it 32, major increments or major unit increments 4. And now if we look here, if I click over here, we can see it goes from 0, 4, 8, 12, 16 all the way up to 32. Okay, perfect. Next step is place the chart to the left of the bullets on the slide with the title Climate. Right, make sure that no words in the chart are split. All data and labels are fully visible. The chart and its content do not overlap any slide items. Print only this slide as a full page slide in landscape orientation. Okay, so I'm just going to right click on this, select it to click, right click. I'm going to go copy, go here. I need to go find this one here called climate. And I want this to be on the left of the bullet. So I'm going to click here, drag the bullets over here to the right, click away and press Ctrl V to paste my chart. There's my chart. I'm just going to make that slightly bigger so it's clear everything that I've done. There we go. And I can see everything is perfect. No words are being cut. I can print this. I'm going to go to File, Print. I'm not going to print all the slides, okay? I just want to print the selected slide. So print current slide. That's this slide only, page 1 of 1. We can see that there. And I can simply click on print. This is landscape orientation and everything is fine. Choose your printer and simply print. Okay, so that's that part done. So now we've done that. On the slide with the title Wind and Tides, locate the 2 bullets describing the Bora and Sirocco winds. Format only these 2 bullet points to look like this. So I want them to look like these ones here. So let's go back and let's just see what it does. First of all, they're indented. They've got a minus sign for a bullet point. The text is slightly smaller and it's italic. So let's go and do that. Wind and tides here. So these are the 2 that we want, Bora and Sirocco. So I'm going to select these. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to indent. So up here, I'm going to click on indent, increase that list level. And now I need to change that bullet style. So I'm going to go to my bullets, click on the arrow. I'm going to go to bullets and numbering. I don't have a minus sign here by default, so I'm going to go to customize and I'm going to find the minus sign from here. Let's just go. Oh, there's one there, but that's not a minus. In fact, if you just click on the minus sign, it should actually find it. There it is. Okay, I'm going to click OK and there it is there. Click OK and there you go. It's put that minus sign for me. Next, I want to make this text a little bit smaller. And I'm going to make it italic as well. And that, I think, looks perfect. Okay. So last thing, right, save the presentation, print the presentation as handouts with 2 slides to the page, each slide filling half the page. So from here, all I have to do now is just go to File, Print. This time I'm going to print my, not all the slides, not the current page, all the slides. So down here I can see 1 of 6 and not full page slides. I'm going to choose 2. Now you've got other things here as well. Let's say you've got notes on your slides. You print the notes page. That will have the notes at the bottom. But right, if you want, let's say to have audience notes, that will be 3 slides. You get the audience notes that they can add here. We want this one here, 2 slides. And that uses half a page for each one. Click on print and you're finished. Okay, so we have completed this entire paper 2. That was a marathon paper. That just had so much of everything. Word, Access, PowerPoint, Mail Merge, even had Excel, a difficult chart there for you to do. If you are taking this examination, good luck with that. I hope you find this useful and I'll see you again in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.